What is up, nerds? Welcome back to episode 22 of the Pickleball Pursuit podcast. I'm your host, Lewis, with Pickleball Pursuit, with my co-host, Justin, from Pickleball, etc. Justin, how you been, man? What you been up to?
Picklepalooza. If you remember, that was the name for the double week, double event, going to Louisiana, playing with you and losing, and then, now this last weekend I was
didn't have to say that we lost. You could have just said going to Louisiana.
Sure. That's a big part of the story, And then, this last weekend I was in Dallas for Worlds and didn't play, but did a lot of fun stuff.
I was supposed to be there.
Yeah, I was gonna say you were supposed to be there, but I had to go solo without my partner, not my pickleball partner, but my partner.
Your partner in life, your pickleball husband.
So I can't believe that you were dodging. Chris and Isaac. We were supposed to play them, and they said that you got fake sick in order to dodge them, so that we wouldn't play.
I have never shied away from an ass beating in pickleball. So why would I start now?
That's true.
Yeah, unfortunately, I got sick right before, literally the day before. I started feeling kind of achy and was like, let me just go to the doctor and make sure I'm not getting the flu, and before I'm around like 20 people who I know and trust and care about. So got tested positive for COVID, and couldn't make it. So I was definitely very disappointed, but happy that you got to go, at least to enjoy it, because I know it was probably a good time, man. You had fun?
Oh, yeah. It was a blast. We played a lot, just randomly at, basically kind of private open play, if you want to call it that. And then we played a little at the actual event, sort of after a lot of the brackets were over. There were a ton of open courts. The place was absolutely huge. There was like 70 courts or something. Mm-hmm. So, and
I heard there's only one station to fill up your water bottle, though.
That's not true. I know of at least two.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, dude, you need to let everybody know where those locations are, because people were freaking out, apparently.
Oh, really? No, I mean, to be honest, it was the best event that I've been to. It was awesome, I thought. It was very much like a festival.
Wow. Glad it was so great.
The layout was awesome. I mean, there were a ton of courts, like, for the amateurs, and then the whole section where you watch the pros was also really nice, a ton of seating. Mm-hmm. I wish I was a little bit richer. I would have paid for VIP. This is the first tournament I've been to, and this is advice for you guys if you're going to go next year. This is the first PPA I've been to where it felt like it will be worth it to pay for VIP. The VIP area was freaking awesome. And it was like super shaded.
You're not a very important person.
No.
Yeah,
no,
we knew that.
Not.
We knew that. Yeah.
No.
Mr. Polyester.
Mr. Polyester, which someone did call me that. So, but Mr. Polyester isn't the VIP status yet. Although,
did anybody call you Mrs. Pickleball Pursuit?
No. No.
All right, guys.
Nope.
Y'all know what to do. Next time you see Justin, yell out Mrs. Pickleball Pursuit.
No, I did get recognized quite a few times, which was kind of weird, but
that's impressive.
That's cool. I know. Yeah. So hi to everybody who came up. That was flattering and humbling. So that's cool.
You're kind of a big deal.
I did get lucky. I got a little, you see it back here. I got a little media pass. I won't say how, but I ended up getting one of those. So that meant I didn't have to pay to get in. I didn't even use it to its full extent. You can go down in the little media, like basically right behind the scoreboards, those little electronic boards right next to the court level. I should have just carried my camera and just walked down there and then just pretended to video and watch, but I didn't even do it.
You had the golden ticket and didn't even use it, man. That's unbelievable.
I know. So it's all right. We were having fun. We were hanging out. Yeah. So yeah, man, it was a lot of fun and played a lot of games, lost basically every single one. I'm pretty sure I was the worst player there. So
that's not what John Q said. He said you were good.
Well.
Yeah.
It's all relative.
I know he's lying. He's just a really nice guy.
Yeah, I think he didn't want to put me down.
Oh, man. Well, that's awesome, dude. Who was the best player out of all the reviewers that you played?
I mean, I feel like I can't say Isaac because,
it wasn't Isaac, yeah.
Just because it's obvious, and we can't give Isaac any more ego boosts. So,
Isaac, you're not good at pickleball. You don't have gorgeous, luscious thighs. Yeah, you're just, not good, man.
But in actuality, like all those guys are really good. And like any of the we were joking about this, like any of the 3.5 at best comments on, Chris's content or any of the other ones, it's just such a joke, as you haven't like seen them play. I think they were all what I expected because I knew their ratings and I had watched them play on video quite a bit. I will say Chris was maybe a little bit more athletic than I expected.
Yeah?
Dude was hitting like a lot of Ernie's.
Dang.
So,
Chris.
I made a mistake one day of like challenging him. I was like, all right, Chris, before we went play, I was like, all right, let's see who gets more Ernie's today. And
wasn't you?
I shouldn't have done that. No,
wasn't
he got
you?
like a lot of Ernie's, probably double digits. And I think I only had 2 and they were both bad. So
that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Not for because of Chris, but just, you put that bet and lost by 10.
Yeah. Good thing I didn't put anything on the line. Because, but yeah, it was fun, man. Made me want to be better.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's something we'll talk about a little bit later in this podcast, is getting better. So did you go, obviously you went to the chorus event. That was the event that we weren't sure if we could say we were going to or not, but Chorus put on a private paddle event for their new Chorus Fires with a lot of the content creators and reviewers going. So Justin, you went as well, man. How was that?
Oh, that was awesome. So, shout out to Matt, owner of Chorus.
Yeah.
He put on this pretty cool event one of the nights at a indoor facility, and he had like basically the whole back corner had 3 courts and then like this kind of turfed area. And when you walk in, he had it set up, man. He had like not only the Chorus Fires, but all of his new lineup. So the Fire, the Shapeshifter, the Super Court, revamped Super Court, which is coming, and then the revamped Echo, which is coming. So 4 lines of paddles in all 3 of his new shapes. We talked about this last week. He has a new wide body hybrid and elongated shape, and all 4 models come in all 3 shapes. And then they were like 2 of each paddle, just all there. And there was like food and drinks and seats. And then he talked like very briefly, just kind of gave everybody the update on, Chorus and the different models. And then he was like, go for it, play. Then everybody was just like kind of grabbing paddles and trying them and, playing on the 3 courts. So it was a ton of fun. I got to try the new Shapeshifter even more so. I already have my own Shapeshifter, but I got to play with it a little bit more. I got to try the Fire, both stock and with a little bit of weight. And then I got to play with the new updated Super Court as well.
Very nice. Very nice.
It was like really just thoughtful of him to kind of invite everybody out and put it together. And I think it was well thought out. And I even got to play a few games with Matt, which is fun because we've chatted a lot and, we're friendly, but we haven't actually played together before. So
yeah. How was he, man? I've heard he's pretty good.
He's got a crazy serve. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got like a pretty hard, like loopy, jumpy topspin serve.
Yeah. I've heard he's really solid actually. Yeah.
So I can see that being like really good for singles. I mean, to be fair, we played like literally the last game at the end of the night, and this was maybe 7 hours deep of playing in the day, and everyone was just kind of goofing off in a good way. We were all having fun, but yeah, he played solid, and his serve is really good. And
all right, the question
we were
is,
kind of laughing, midpoint.
How much did you and John Q nerd out together? Were y'all just like full nerd? Like just
not as much as everybody thought. It's so funny. I feel like everybody wanted that from us.
Yeah.
But we were both actually just chilling,
Dang.
I talked to him plenty. He's a great guy. But we didn't like get too nerdy. We talked a little bit one night on the couch, but for the most part, like, when we first sat down in the stands, like the first night I was there, Braden was like, "Oh, everybody get ready for this. They're about to pull out the spreadsheets. Here comes Nerd Town," all this stuff. And we were both like,
that's so true.
We're just hanging out. But the funny part is we were like jokingly talking about like the firepower of the different paddles that people were using.
Yeah.
And we're just like, joking because that's his metric for like pop and power combined.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Braden's ESQ, and I was like, I think it's a firepower of 93. And then like 4 minutes later, I look over and John has his laptop out with a spreadsheet, and he was like, "You were right. It is 500." I was like, "Oh my god." I was like, we're not helping our nerdy
not helping your
here.
Case. No, absolutely not. That's hilarious. Yeah, I was that was the one thing I was looking forward to, just seeing you two just totally nerding out really hard. I thought that was definitely going to happen, but that's funny. I mean, Yeah, John seems like a really nice guy. I was looking forward to meeting everybody, but next time, guys, next time. Sorry I missed. Sucks, horrible timing, but fortunately I was not very sick at all, which was great, and recovered pretty quick. Apart from my my voice, which is still kind of going in and out. So, well, sweet man. Anything other notable things happened during the events?
Nothing I can talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, buddy. All right. Well, let's, speaking of the course, let's go ahead and talk about the fire. We're going to go ahead and just jump into some paddle talk. I have had a chance to play quite a bit with this fire SX, which is the standard shape. Which shapes have you played with? I haven't played with the HX or EX yet.
So I only played 2 games with them at the event. I played a game with the HX stock, and then I played the last game with the SX with some weight on it, with 3 grams on each side. And it was like the Chorus, they have these new silicone weights. They're only 1.5 grams each, but they're kind of the same shape as the 3 gram pods. Yeah. But they're silicone, so they absorb a little bit of vibration too. So yeah, with 2 of those pods on each side, which 3 grams, sort of at 4 and 8. And yeah, I played those 2 games, and yeah, it was I liked the SX with weight. I liked quite a bit better than the HX stock, which isn't a fair comparison. And again, we'll just call these first impressions because it's not like I tested them. I just got to play with them in a kind of for fun sort of open play environment.
Yeah. I got to drill with this, so I'm going to have a little bit more of a impression than just your first basic impressions. But I will say, this being titanium, as the face layer, it's deceiving because there's actually a clear layer of fiberglass on top of the titanium weave face. So you will look at this pattern like, oh, this is probably going to feel really, really, really good. Nice and plush and have really soft, smooth, muted feedback. Wrong. It's stiff. It is slightly like rigid in terms of feel, just barely. Like a touch more than, than normal carbon fiber. So it definitely has some fiberglass feel and feedback to it. And at first, I wasn't sure like how it performed in terms of pop. It's a 14 millimeter paddle, so usually they're more poppy. And I've been playing with the Flare Pyro X quite a bit. Two totally different feeling paddles, like so different in terms of feel, in my opinion. But both utilize very similar construction, apart from the core cells. These being wide core cells at 10 millimeter, and the Flare Prime X from Neonic being the 6 millimeter, which I prefer the 6, which is shocking. Every time I've played with 6 millimeter core cells, I've really enjoyed it. Like the standout paddles had one of the best feel of shapeshifter. So just not to say that that's a knock on this paddle at all, but man, this paddle hits pretty damn hard, and it's got some serious pop to it. So I think this will definitely be a fun paddle for people who like to be aggressive with a different feel. Yeah, I put quite a bit of weight, actually. This is from Gherkin, who we're going to talk about. They sent over some paddles and some merch and weight, but these are 3 grams, but they're 4 inches in length. So I put 6 grams in total on each side. And then I also put 12 grams of lead in the handle. These fires come in very light at
they do.
I think it was 7.6 or 7.7 was my SX. But a very promising paddle, and undoubtedly will be a popular choice for people, in my personal opinion.
Is that the only shape you've played with?
Excuse me. Yeah, that's the only shape I've played with. Haven't played with the HX or the EX yet.
The you know, and Matt from course was saying this too, but the SX is kind of its own animal in a way. It's the most unique of the three shapes. And
not surprising.
An effect of that is that the power jump from the SX up to the HX and EX is pretty significant. So the pop may be kind of similar between the three. I'd have to test it more. But, you know, just from watching other people play with it, I didn't play with the EX, but I was talking to some people and watched it, and everyone was saying, oh, yeah, the EX fire has, like, significant power, whereas the SX fire, while still having good pop, it's not powerful, but it's not like a crazy powerful paddle.
Yeah,
it's not hard
I wouldn't
to
say it's
control or
crazy
anything like that.
Yeah, but it definitely has, for a standard shape 14 millimeter paddle, has significant power and very, very good pop. And I would say it's one of the more unique feeling paddles off the face too.
To talk about the feel real quick, and we'll talk about the shapeshifter in a second. But one of the most interesting things about the Fire to me, as you know, like a construction nerd, is that the bottom layer in the layup, so the layer nearest the core, is actually woven. It's a 3K woven layer, and I think that's the first paddle to do that outside of maybe the Selkirk, the Vanguard Pro, which now has like the 12K flat woven. But prior to that, it was always a unidirectional layer of carbon fiber or fiberglass up against the core. And in the Fire, it's actually woven layer, and then woven layer, which is the titanium, which is a woven layer, and then that very thin, like glass coat of fiberglass, that thin, clear fiberglass on top. So, in a way, the feel off the face was almost opposite of the shapeshifter, right? The shapeshifter is known for this. They have a very flexible layer on top, and then it's carbon fiber, and then it's the fiberglass on the bottom. So, this one almost feels super duper plush on the soft stuff. It feels like it just pockets and pillows. But then as you swing harder and harder, you get more of the fiberglass feedback, and it feels a little bit more harsh. Well, not stiff. Yeah. You just feel a little bit more harshness and rebound. The Fire is almost opposite. It's like feels pretty poppy and stiff, even on soft stuff, blocks, little dinks, and things like that. But when you actually open up and swing through a ball, like on a big serve or a topspin, that's when you feel like the lower face layers and the core giving more, and that's when it seems to pocket more. And I think that's where a lot of the spin potential comes from on the Fire. It has like pretty good spin on big swings, and it's not like the grittiest feeling paddle, but you don't necessarily notice the spin on like dinks and soft stuff. So in a way, kind of the inverse of the shapeshifter, the Fire is kind of stiffer feeling on the soft stuff and more pocketing on the harder shots, inverse of the shifter.
Yeah,
so
the shifter
very
is
interesting.
Yeah, it's a totally, almost completely opposite feel of the Fires, but not to say that as a bad thing either.
No, they just have distinct personalities.
Oh, I also forgot to say, I really, if you can, Matt, go ahead and just give us this on the shapeshifter as well.
Oh, yeah. Seeing the shape on the butt cap makes it so much easier for those of us who have multiple.
Yeah, but I mean, we're also just, lucky to have multiple. So
true.
Maybe that is a little bit of a slight, unrealistic ask. But anyway, I thought it was just a really nice touch. So shapeshifter, I got to hit this one a decent amount, as you can see. Got some ball dust on there. But plush feeling paddle, a little bit more plush than the original shapeshifter. Another thing is
because you're hitting the SX, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Have
another
you played
thing.
With the HX?
Have not played with the HX.
Okay.
But SX felt very plush, very soft, but got phenomenal spin. Was very easy to play with. Probably need a little bit more weight on this one for me. It's another light paddle. But super. Both of these paddles are crazy maneuverable. So great handles too. I like their handles, even though they are these slightly softer pallets. They're softer pallets, but they're not like these soft pallets that you hate.
They're still EVA foam, but they're firmer EVA. Yeah. And the shape is more truly octagonal, which is what makes the handle like circumference a little bit higher at 4.25, but it's kind of a good trade-off because the shape of it is so nice. Yeah,
switching between the Flare Primex and this, the handles feel so different.
Because the Flare Primex handle is so thin.
Yeah, it's thin. It's less
and yours is
prominent.
Squishy because Yeah. Not mine because I did handle surgery, but
Yeah, whatever, dude.
But yeah, with the shapeshifter, the same thing happens with the shapes. Like the SX is like almost like a control paddle, basically.
Yes. No, I would definitely say it's more control oriented for sure.
And going between the two, the shapeshifter to the fire is like shockingly different.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing. I think that within the brand of Chorus, he has like very distinct personalities.
Absolutely.
And then there's, the other brothers, the Supercore and the Echo. And I think we'll wait and touch on those.
Yeah.
Because, they're going to be launched a little later. All I'll say, though, is that the Supercore like pleasantly surprised me and a lot of other people. So that's
just so
paddle.
If anybody's wondering, the Fire releases, I believe, November 30th.
Yeah.
And the Shapeshifter lineup releases December 14th.
Correct.
If I'm not mistaken. If those are incorrect, we'll put them on the screen. But anyway, you'll have to wait a little while for those. So let's move on to some paddles that we finally got to hit from Speed Up. This, I'm going to talk primarily about the Pyro, which is the 16 millimeter power-oriented Kevlar paddle, the black Kevlar. This thing, clearly, I mean, we've said it 47,000 times, but they have some of the best handles on the market, maybe even the best, depending on who is has it in their hands. But very long, which is going to shrink the face and make it a smaller hitting surface. I prefer to have 5.3 or more, but this is a little above my pay grade in terms of handle length. I don't know how you feel about that. Yeah, you don't even need a
finger on the face for this one. This is
like you can go straight around.
Tennis.
Yeah, and that honestly does not feel good for me. I don't know how you feel about that. I prefer having the finger on the face, but yeah, Justin's about to measure it as he measures anything that looks like that.
Here, let's try to see.
Yeah, so almost a full 6.5 inches, which is
pretty big.
Almost it's very, very long. Probably the longest handles, apart from, I think there's like some Oyas, or like 7 inches, right?
Yeah, it's a 7-inch one.
But that's too much.
You can go full tennis, both hands on, and without a finger up on the face, for sure.
But
both of them are this long. There's the Cryo as well.
Yes, yeah. The Cryo is a little bit softer. They play very similar apart from their power and pop. The spin on both is excellent. The forgiveness is okay. Not great, but as you would expect from a shrunken, elongated face paddle. Much better than, I was telling the owner, much better than the 14 millimeter Fire that I reviewed. That paddle was not very forgiving.
Speed Up Fire, that is.
Yeah, Speed Up Fire.
Yeah,
the Speed Up Fire. Thank you. But these are definitely significantly more forgiving, most likely due to its 16 millimeter core compared to a 14 millimeter core. If you are someone who loves long handles and came from a tennis background and can rip absolute drives, you are going to freaking love this paddle. It hits pretty damn hard. One of the harder hitting Gen 2 paddles that I've tested. I haven't done any speed testing, but I can tell you right now, hits hard, has very good pop, and it is a very, very high quality feeling paddle. So,
here's a question.
Excellent. Yes.
Does this have, quote unquote, like some Gen 3 construction to it?
I can't remember. Let me look in my messages. I don't think.
I don't know for sure, but it sure sounds and feels like there's additional foam. We'll say that. But yeah, this is if you are like a ground stroke specialist or like a singles player, dude, this paddle is so sick. Like this is like a paddle that would be amazing for singles. I'm not saying you can't play doubles with it, but
it is not using any form of foam in the core, but it is using. Let me just be careful that I don't say anything incorrectly or things that I can't say. It is changing things about the core and also using fiberglass in the face layer.
Okay.
So
I knew there was a different
explains,
sound between
which explains the poppy, powerful nature. I'm sure I can say this. It uses large cells in the Pyro and small cells in the Kevlar. Excuse me, the Cryo, which makes sense why it feels softer or not.
They
softer,
feel significantly different.
Yeah, they feel very different. But yeah, if you want the more forgiving one, definitely go with the Cryo. The denser core is going to be significantly better in terms of feel. But if you want very good pop and power, Pyro's awesome. So Speed Up, thank you guys for sending those over. God, I hope you license out your handle construction to everybody and make millions.
You're giving it too much credit, bro. I mean, I'm glad that they're doing it, but it's not hard to do.
It's good. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying you're giving too much credit to the quality. It's as it should be, but there's no need to license it out. These other brands should just do it. It's not hard to do. I
don't know. I don't make paddles. I'm not a nerd like you. Okay.
It's a fully molded handle. It's just like a tennis racket. It's polyurethane fully molded as handles should be.
It's very good. All right. Gherkin. They
we both have the same one here.
Horrible name for the Pickleball Pursuit podcast. Two very immature guys who are going to make way too many jokes. But these Gherkins are very high quality feeling. The grit is ridiculous, as some people have said. Good. Yeah. Haven't hit with these yet, but the stock stats on these are excellent. They're a little bit heavier of paddles overall. With this one, this is their standard shape. It comes in at 116 swing weight and 7.5 twist weight, which is ludicrous. 16 millimeter paddle, and they use silicone edge guards, but they also have another just like typical construction paddle with the same shapes. The names are, escaping me right now, but we will be testing these over the next week or two and kind of giving you guys some feedback. But they sent us some paddles, man. They sent us every paddle that they have. So thank you, Gherkin. Very impressed with the metrics, and the only thing I don't like, I like that they're trying new things with the edge guard, but the silicone edge guard, it doesn't feel too good on your fingers when you do two-handed backhands.
This area, I agree.
But not a problem, because you can just get the other models that don't have the silicone edge guard and feel great. So sharp in more ways than one construction. So Gherkin, we're looking forward to testing these out. Justin, you got anything to say about these bad boys?
I think these look pretty good too.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'll say a couple things. You talk about the kind of the weight and the stock stats. Pretty sure that has to do with the silicone edge guard, which I imagine is heavier than a traditional edge guard. Mm-hmm. But that is, in a way, extra perimeter weighting. So you can pull these out of the box stock and just play with them. It's not like it needs, lead tape or tungsten or anything. The peel ply that they use feels really good. It feels actually a little bit different than most paddles. Mm-hmm. And it feels really gritty. The look is good. And I had to Google what Gherkin means before I made any jokes, And actually, here's your lesson for the day.
It means something? It's not just...
Yeah, it means something. A pickled cucumber is called a gherkin, basically everywhere except for the U.S., and where it's called a pickle. So gherkin is like...
such a nerd, dude.
Across the world, actually the name for pickles, and we just call them pickles. So now it makes sense why. So it could have been called Gherkin Ball.
I know. I was about to say, are we about to play Gherkin Ball? Welcome to
worse.
Gherkin Ball Pursuit. Yeah, that does sound way worse. Gherkin.
So there's your vocabulary lesson for the day. And
are you gherkin around?
Yeah, that's why they're named. But no, man, these paddles actually just seem solid across the board, all 6 of them. So there are basically 3 shapes. There's the ones with the silicone edge guard in all 3, and then there is like your traditional edge guard in all 3. And they're also, especially the traditional edge guard ones, very affordable. So it's like easy recommendation for someone's like, hey. And I would say that all 6 of them, I would probably say in today's market, are pretty control oriented.
Yeah.
They're very plush, very
They do
soft,
feel
very
plush.
nice feel on contact, especially the silicone ones. It kind of dampens a lot of the vibrations.
Mhm.
So if someone's like, hey, man, I don't want to break the bank, but I just want like a solid all-around control paddle, these are easy recommendations because, like I said, they look good and they're offered in all three shapes, like standard, hybrid, elongated, and they just feel good and easy to pick up. But that's all kind of first impressions, by the way, because I haven't played too deeply with them.
Yeah. I love when new companies do that. They don't just release, a typical elongated shape paddle. They release a lineup to, showcase all three of the typical shapes, whether it be a standard or a wide body, and then they have a hybrid and elongated shape. I love when they do that. So great work from them. Obviously, I know that's a little bit more of an undertaking for most new companies to do, but it does help in establishing your legitimacy and to showcase that you can make more than one good paddle. So looking forward to testing those out. A paddle that both of us have tested out, right? You've hit this quite a bit.
Yeah, I played a lot of hours with it.
I just, unfortunately,
I don't have it on me right now.
Just now got to hit it quite a bit a few days ago and yesterday. And this is a damn good paddle. I
Say
don't
the name
love
for the listeners.
Yeah, this is the 11624 Hurache-X Alpha-1. So this is kind of like considered a prototype, right? It's not necessarily like an actual.
It's a limited run because it is USAP approved.
Yeah,
and David did say he's going to have another round. So.
Yeah. I definitely do think this is worth bringing to market as more than a limited run. I think a lot of people are very interested in this paddle. It's pretty powerful. It's got some serious, pop to it or firepower. As John Q says, it definitely has good power on drives and serves and also is fairly poppy at the net for a heavier. It's not super heavy, but for an elongated shape paddle, that's not
you think it's poppy?
maneuverable. Yeah, I think it's soft, but I do think it gives a good amount of pop at the net.
Okay.
It definitely it's softer than the original Hurache-X for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, much softer. But I
thought
think
that it was kind of average pop and high power, which was like the interesting part. That the pop and power weren't linked.
Yeah, and I could see that. But I do think sometimes, especially for people like us who are more
bad players,
feel-based.
Oh
no, I was going to say that.
I know what you mean. We don't have
thanks
a radar
for bringing
gun.
it up. Yeah,
yeah.
You kind of get fooled by the softness and think, oh, it's not super poppy. And then thinking this is one of the rare cases where the feel is not quite as indicative of what is real. I did feel like it was a little jumpier on punch volleys, specifically in counters. Now, it's not ultra poppy, of course, because it's very easy to reset things and not pop things up. So in that sense, yes, I would say it's not ultra poppy, but it does have a little bit elevated in terms of pop, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
All right.
That's kind of a trend right now, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Is that we're seeing some paddles that have softer feel, but still retain a lot of power. But that softer feel maybe takes a little bit of the edge off the pop.
Bam. Look at that, dude. David from 11624 sent me this, man. PP.
Oh. Nice. Dang, fancy.
This is a very nice water jug.
And you got your daiquiri in there?
COVID. No, it's a high quality H2O.
Gatorade. Ready to go to the next paddle because it follows the same trend. Here you go.
Yes. All right.
Boom.
Bam. The Vatic Pro Saga. This is the Flash 16. You also have the Flash 16 in your hand, is that right?
And then I showed the V7 also.
Nice.
Both the short. I have both the short handle Flash and short handle V7.
Oh, they make a long handle one? Damn.
Yeah, they have long handle in both of them.
How did I not know that? Dude, there's so many paddles coming out now. It's just
Yeah, I mean those shapes kind of went under the radar, but Vatic has released their like long handle versions of the Flash and V7 shape in all of their paddles, in the Prism and the original Pro line, and then now
these still have a slight taper, right? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. The Flash does, yeah.
Yeah, there's yeah.
So
Sweet.
this is like, I wouldn't even call this, for me, I wouldn't even call this first impressions. This is like, I hit this on my little dink board and then against the wall, where my wall is I can actually back up off my wall and hit like drives into it. I have enough space. So I can get like an initial sense of a paddle, but of course it's not games. Did some volleying against the wall, some dinks against the wall, and then kind of serve and drive against the wall a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to actually playing with it. I will say the immediate impression is what you've already heard from a lot of people. Very soft feeling, almost Prism level soft, to be honest, on contact. Probably not quite that soft, but close, while having significantly more power than the Prisms. Like feels like really good power. Mm-hmm. But the pop, because of the soft feel, feels a little bit lower, and not in a bad way, just very controllable. This feels like it's going to be an easy to control paddle while offering tons of power. So that kind of follows the same trend that I thought the Alpha-1 from 11.624 was, like higher power but a soft feel and lower pop, which made it easier to play on defense. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to testing these out further, and I think that's a cool niche, to fill. It's like this high power but also easy to control because it has a little bit of softer feel, especially in today's game where almost every third is a drive. Serves are getting harder, returns are getting harder, so it kind of pays to be able to control a power paddle, if you put it that way.
Another thing that you did not mention that I did notice is with the combination of it being a little bit softer, I was bouncing a ball against the dink, my little dink master that I got from Enhanced Pickleball, which is great, by the way. If you're looking for something just to kind of drill hands at home, the Dink Master is legit. So I would check that out. But anyway, the combination of this is a pretty damn gritty paddle.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, they mentioned that.
Very gritty. Not like crazy gritty like the Gherkins, but it's similar in that respect. So having increased dwell time and the combination of a pretty damn gritty paddle definitely gives it the recipe for being a very easy paddle to shape the ball. So can't confirm this yet, but I would imagine that it's quite a easy paddle to add some, top spin and just kind of manipulate the ball with spin. So if you're one of those players, this might be a paddle to kind of look out for in terms of spin. So we'll see what the playability happens, but just something to look out for. But yeah, excited about these.
Yeah, agreed. I was going to say, I think I mentioned this before, but probably my longest main of my pickleball career was a Prism Flash 14 millimeter. So I have some fondness, for Vatic, and I played this shape, but in a 14 millimeter for a long time. So it would be really cool to kind of revisit. I honestly haven't played with Vatic paddle since then, so pumped about this.
Sweet.
Mention. I want to mention this paddle real quick, just because it's launching soon. We talked about it before. We don't have to go in depth, but the Neonic Flow Prime X is launching on the 19th. So that's coming up quick. And I figured it fit perfectly here because I think this is another paddle. It's a 16 millimeter hybrid that has fiberglass. So we just talked about the Alpha and we just talked about the Saga. This fits right in the same way in that it has like a softer, more plush feel. It doesn't feel like the poppiest paddle, like medium levels of pop, but high power when you can get a hold of one. So, and then it has this pretty gradient edge guard. So yeah. Anyway, we talked about that sort of being a trend. I think all three of the paddles that we just talked about kind of fit into that same vein. Easy to control, but offer good power. And this one's pretty. Just needs a little bit of weight.
Yeah.
All right.
Cute paddle. So cute. All right. Man, I officially got my ass beat enough in tournaments to make me have to post the Road to 4 Gold first episode.
Yeah. And that was awesome.
I appreciate it, man. Shockingly, there's some some videos that you just make and you're like, I don't know if anybody's going to watch this or care about it or like
branching out for you in a way.
Yeah.
So it's like different than your normal content.
I'm actually very excited about this. This is definitely more in line with the videos that I like to make. Like reviews, I enjoy making them. They're fine and fun. But reviews are like very little impact. It's really just like informing someone of something for a very limited amount of time because, products, the life cycle of a product being intriguing and enticing is very short, especially in pickleball. So this has a lot more longevity, has a lot more overall impact on, pickleball or people or, just self-development. So yeah, if you have not seen the first episode of the Road to 4.0 Gold, it's a challenge to myself is can I medal in 4.0 before the end of 2024, which is 60 days from now. And I'll be documenting that and continuing on regardless of the results. But yeah, man, I'm excited for it. Got lots of really positive feedback. Somebody told me I should probably buy shorter shorts. Maddie Rhett said I needed a new paddle and that would solve everything. So maybe I'll try both of those.
Well, we just signed up for a tournament today.
Yeah. I'm playing in a tournament this weekend, which is going to be the 17th. And then Justin and I are going to go play in Bastrop, Texas on December 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. So Bastrop is like 30 minutes outside of Austin. So I will say that the 4.0 division is very empty right now. Yeah. So if you're from Austin and
free win,
and
you got a free win right here.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're 4.0 level. Sign up for that tournament in Bastrop on the December 7th because it'll be fun to fill it up. But also we need some people for Lewis to actually beat to get a medal. So.
Yeah, I got to get a medal. If you suck, enter that. Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, this weekend, I sort of, in a way, hope you don't get the medal so that the pressure's on for the December one.
I'm getting the medal this weekend. It's going to happen. I have full confidence. I'm looking to end this series early.
2 video series and it's over.
Yeah. Well, it'll just be Road 4-5,
Yeah, true.
So we're there's always a goal to strive for. But yeah, thanks for the support, everyone, on that 4.0 video. Definitely was very rewarding to make and also cool to see that some people who have never watched my channel were interested in it, and lots of people who do watch my channel were also interested in it. So awesome to hear that. So in a kind of parallel tangent or similar tangent, we're going to move on to one of our new segments, net gains. So Justin, what are we talking about for net gains this week, man?
Okay.
The mic is yours.
Well, no, we're both going to talk about this.
Well, yeah, of course, but
this is something that this week is just one thing for both of us because it's something we've talked about and are learning about. I shouted this out last week, but I didn't show it on camera. Pickleball Mindset. This Dane Gingrich. This book's pretty cool, and it's about mental performance, in pickleball. And I talked about last week how, having a positive mindset in the tournament was kind of a new thing and a breakthrough for me and being able to stay positive. But I kind of just gave like the 30,000 foot view of exactly that. I'm going to talk about sort of one of the specific things today that helped me do that. And that's something that Dane calls pre-acceptance. And I don't think this is unique to pickleball. I'm sure that this, theory has been out there before, but the way that he presented it was the first time I thought about it. So the idea is that you have controllable variables for your performance, and then you have things that you can't control. And the idea is that you pre-accept ahead of time the things that you can't control, right? So, for instance, the weather, maybe bad line calls, or things like that, right? So
whether you play well or not.
Yeah, whether you're like feeling a little bit of like nervousness at the beginning of the tournament, you pre-accept these things. You tell yourself before ever going into the tournament, hey, look, I understand It might be windy. There's a chance. We might have a delay. There's a chance that, my opponent might make a bad line call. There's a chance that I might feel kind of nervous in the beginning. And all that's okay because it is what it is and I literally can't control any of it. And the point of this is so that whenever you're in the game and these things now come at you, right, you don't get absorbed by them because you play your best whenever you are just living in the present, living in the moment and not thinking about anything. You're just kind of going on autopilot. But if you haven't pre-accepted that these things could happen, now you're in a game and the wind flurries up and it makes you miss a return. And then you're in your head like, oh, damn it, I didn't know it was going to be windy today. That's so annoying, all this stuff. And you're thinking about all these things like, oh, do I need to, change this? And I can't believe it's windy. The app said the weather was going to be perfect. And then what is that doing for you? Literally nothing. It's just negativity. And now you're on to the next few points and you're thinking about nothing but the wind. Like you didn't focus on those points. So not only did you lose the one return to the wind, but now you've lost more points and you lost your focus. Mm-hmm. Or same thing goes with the bad line call. Your opponent or the ref makes a bad line call. You get tilted about it. You argue forever. And then now you've completely lost your focus. You've lost your rhythm in the game. And now you're like angry and it's affecting the future points. Whereas if you pre-accepted that could have happened, then it happens. You already know off the top of your head, hey, I already thought about this. I know I can't change it. So whatever. And then now the next point can just be the next point. You can be there present. So that was a big part of like what helped me stay positive for me specifically. Obviously it wasn't the weather because we were playing indoors, but Lewis had prepped me. He was like, hey, there's going to be a lot of trash talk. And then I also knew, we're on camera and we're with the people we know. So I might be a little bit nervous. I might miss my first few drops because that's like the first thing that I'll play tight in is like my soft game. Mm-hmm. And so I went into this tournament knowing all those things. And none of them really happened, to be honest. But I felt like mentally prepared, like whatever. I already know like shit can happen, but it's no big deal. I just keep playing. And what matters is just like playing the point at hand, which is so cliche. And everyone says like, oh, just the next point or stare at the ball or whatever, I was going to say, this Lewis, is how you get to that cliche.
Stare at the ball.
Yeah. This is how you get to that cliche. Is this how you allow yourself to turn off all the useless noise is by pre-accepting that there are things outside of your control. And that way you're not surprised by them when they do happen. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Well, I've never had an issue with this. I mean, nothing ever bothers me on the court. I'm very calm, very cool, sure. Collected. I've never hit a shot and made a mistake and gotten mad about it or anything.
We watched your video.
Yeah, just kidding. That was a lie. Definitely, 100%. I fall victim of not pre-accepting that I have no control over, how many mistakes I make in a game. I could make, sorry for bumping the mic, I could make tons of mistakes in a succession, like a continuous succession. And that's just how it is sometimes. You make a few mistakes. No one is perfect. You cannot perfectly control every outcome or every stroke or every shot that you hit. And not harping on those is the best thing you can possibly do. Just understand that this is a current ebb or a current flow that I am in, and it's going to change. The tide is going to change, and I can't think about the last shot. I just have to go forth and see what the future brings. So definitely something I am focusing on pretty heavily. That was one thing I noticed very prominently was how pissed off I would get. I never do anything like, throw my paddles and break them or, scream at people or anything. I just get mad at myself.
But it did break your focus.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So even if you are someone who's very good about channeling your disappointment or your anger or your, whatever negative feeling you have, that doesn't mean that you're doing it in a positive manner. And that's definitely does not mean it's going to help you. Because, being mad about something is totally fine, but you need to get over that before the next point starts. And pre-accepting that things are going to happen outside of your control is definitely going to help that mindset shift and, give you the mental edge to perform the absolute best you can. So,
Yeah.
or to prime you really. So,
So
yeah, great book recommendation.
yeah, I was
I
going to
can
say the
barely
other side
read,
of that coin.
but you
You started trying to read now.
yeah.
The other side of that coin in like where this
Tabitha,
leads you.
sorry. When I was recording the Road to 4.0 clip where I was like reading the book, Tabitha came in the background. She goes, "Oh, look at you trying to pretend like you know how to read." I've read like a combined 20 books in my life max, like at the very most. So I'm usually I usually watch things.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We'll learn you how to read.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, so, the other side of that coin is essentially pre-accepting and getting to this place. It just brings you to a neutral state. And then kind of the next step from there to get you to a positive state is understanding I pre-accepted what I can't control. What can I control? Mm-hmm. And there are essentially three main things you can control. Your preparation, which is obvious. We talked about this last week. Once you're in a tournament, now is not the time to make changes. The time to make changes was the months leading up to the tournament, Mm-hmm. So you can control your preparation, and that's drilling, tactics, hydrating, taking care of your body, being mentally prepared, all those things. And then the things you can control in the moment are your decisions, and that's just has to do with tactics, essentially. Understanding, like we did with that tournament we played against those kids, not even the kids, but I was like, hey, they're going up the line to you a lot. Here's your chance to Ernie. And then he hits an Ernie. And then the other thing you can control is your reactions, which, Lewis, this is what you were hinting at. Whenever things don't go your way or whenever things are a little bit surprising or whatever, you can control how you choose to react to things or not react and say, this is not worth my mental effort. This is not worth my emotions. It's just a point.
Yeah.
So yeah, pre-accept what you can't control and control what you can, which the majority of that is preparation that happens before the tournament even starts.
Net gains.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to go move on to another new segment. New week, new main, which is still, for me, I'm still rocking the Flare Prime X. Who would have thought?
New week, same main?
New week, same main. We're still rocking it. We're going to play with it this week. There are some interesting paddles that, I've been eyeing. They've been flirting back too, and I'm trying to figure out if we're, going to take them out on a little date. Next week. That's on for next week. But this tournament, got to get through that.
Is your weight setup still the same?
Yeah, weight setup is exactly the same. I was, contemplating cutting off at the bottom corners the 0.5 gram. Per inch lead tape and replacing that with 1 gram just to add a little bit more weight. But I'm not going to mess with anything. I've been enjoying how it feels, and I'm just going to keep going with what I have. So Neonic Flare Prime X, 3 weeks, baby. No, 2 weeks. 3 weeks? 3 weeks. We're going for week 3 right now. So
you're working on week 3, yeah.
Yeah, working on week 3. Let's see if it'll surpass the ESQC, which honestly, I really miss that paddle. Like,
really?
I really like that paddle, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna switch back to it. I'm gonna stay with the Flare Prime X. we're on to bigger and better things, man. I feel like I'm
all right.
Onwards and upwards. What you got?
New week, new main for me. I can't show it,
guys.
That's the unofficial new week, new main. So the official new week, new main is still the Flare Prime X. Since I can talk about this one. So this is probably still my go-to be honest. But it did change my weight setup a little bit because I had a similar weight setup to Lewis, starting at the bottom corner, 0.5 gram per inch, running all the way up to above the top corner on both sides. But this paddle comes in so light that it was still super light. It was like 8.1, maybe 8.2 ounces. And this weekend, what's happening to me a lot is I was really ahead on a lot of counters, just timing-wise. I mean, good for me to be prepped, but like my timing was too far ahead, and I was also kind of overswinging, which is a me problem. But I realized that I think I want a little bit heavier of a paddle. So I am trying a new setup right now. If you can't tell, I actually have some Bodie edge tape on, which everyone thinks I'm anti-edge tape. I'm not anti-edge tape. I just think people need to understand that it adds weight. But in this case, that's what I want. It also looks good, because now it's white, all white.
I'm
and you can't see the
anti-edge tape, bro.
What's that?
I'm a hater.
Well, I have
I'm
edge
just kidding.
tape over. I have weight underneath here from here to here, right? And then I have edge tape over going all the way around the top because I wanted to add a little bit more weight, and I also wanted to distribute the weight a little bit higher. So this was a way for me to do that without just, slapping some more tungsten on the top.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this will add the weight that I want while at the same time, looking great because my paddle's getting pretty dinged up. So
Hey,
this is the new setup I'm trying.
You're a massive nerd. Have you measured how much weight per gram those edge guards are yet?
You mean per inch?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, how many grams per inch those edge guards are?
No, it's like 0.2 for
0.2,
this
okay.
tape.
Yeah, I need to know.
So, like half gram per inch tungsten tape. This is like 0.2 gram per inch on this Bodhi tape, which is a similar thickness to the Pickleball Effect tape, less thick than some of the crazy thick ones. But yeah, I mean, when you put this much from here all the way around, that's quite a few inches. So it adds up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trying a little bit of a heavier setup. It's still only like 8.37 ounces. So it's not like a heavy paddle. But I just wanted to kind of help my timing a little bit. So yeah, officially, this is the new week, same main.
Same main. Sorry to disappoint, guys.
I got the new week, new main.
Yeah. Don't worry. Paddle. Just give us about 3 to 5 days and we'll find a problem with our current paddles and
have a new
switch. Yeah. Yeah, man. We're stuck. But we're going to move on to everybody's favorite section, Nerd Town. Justin, come on, man. Take us to Nerd Town.
All aboard! All right.
Let's go, baby. Choo-choo. Choo-choo.
Yeah. I try to, with these Nerd Towns, by the way, it's hard to come up with them, so keep giving me ideas in the comments.
Yeah.
But
people love the field lie.
I know. Well, that's a good one. People had been asking for that for a long time. See, that was an idea I got from the comments, so I do read them from time to time. But I always try to keep the topics for Nerd Town like fairly relevant to kind of what's going on with trends. So that's been an informer for this one. And the reason I say that is because we've talked about a little bit of this stuff before, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper this time. And Lewis is already falling asleep.
I just yawned.
I told you got to put a yawn counter on Nerd Town because every time we start, dude, go back and watch the episodes.
It's the last one. It's the last segment. I'm
single
tired.
time he's yawning.
I'm an old man. Okay. I go to sleep at like 9 o'clock. All right, continue. My bad.
So this week we're going to talk about grades of polypropylene. Now I say grades, but there's other ways you can refer to this. They're also called weights, and it's also called density. So the basics here, polypropylene is the core structure. All you nerds know that. There are various thicknesses this way that make it thicker and thinner paddles. There are various cell sizes of the actual circles in here. We've talked about all that. You're seeing that more and more. Something like this has a 6 millimeter cell, so small cell. And the Vatic, I'm pretty sure, has a 10 millimeter, so what they call like a wide cell. Mm. So you're seeing a lot more variations and intentional experimentation with polypropylene. Now, the next step beyond the dimensions, so to say, is the grade or the weight or the density. And pretty much that has to do with how dense and how rigid the polypropylene is. And you can intentionally choose this. So what we're seeing a lot of now, and this is kind of following in the footsteps of PaddleTech's success, is that companies are looking into lower weight, essentially lower density polypropylene, which means it's a little bit more springy. Think more rubbery plastic versus brittle plastic. So adding that springiness can sometimes add power, but it can also add more of a plush kind of sinking in feel off the face. So that's a grade one way. Or you can go for a higher weight, in which case it has more structural stability, more density, but it's more of a stiff feeling. Mm-hmm. Now, there are considerations to make. Usually, if you go with a very lightweight but wide cell polypropylene, you've lost a lot of structure because now you have wider cells, so it's less dense across the core, and also a softer, less dense version of the plastic. So you have to be really careful with that because you could run into durability issues. For sure when you're playing with it, but even before that stage, during the manufacturing, it can be more complicated, and your tolerances have to be tighter when you're working with a softer grade wide cell polypropylene, because it's just much easier to crush it, pretty much. The inverse is true. If now you go to 6mm cells in a higher weight, they're very dense and they're very strong, ton of structural stability. That's going to be a stiffer feeling paddle, but it's also going to be a denser feeling paddle, more crisp feel. Yeah, but now you have, your margins are a little bit wider, especially when it comes to thermoforming, because usually the higher grade, the more dense version of this stuff is also more thermostable, so it's less likely to melt. And the inverse is true. If you go to the softer grade stuff, it might melt. You might not even. There are grades of polypropylene that do not succeed with Gen 2 or thermoforming. They will just melt. So that's sort of the basics, and that's something that I think you guys are going to see a lot of. So I wanted to kind of put out the Nerdtown educational piece ahead of these companies. When you hear companies talking about, oh, it's a higher grade, or it's a higher weight polypropylene, or it's a lower weight polypropylene, it's a less dense, what they mean to say is, and they probably might not even use those words, they might just say, oh, we're choosing to use a more flexible polypropylene or like a more dense polypropylene. And those are the points behind that. How that translates to playability, like I said, is usually that the more flexible ones offer more power, but need to be really carefully watched for durability. But they tend to have more of kind of a hollow, sort of springy feel. The higher grade, denser ones have more of a crisp and dense and solid feel, and don't have as many durability concerns. So that's that. Any questions from the co-host?
I will say, wide cell is definitely the trend right now. However, I can't think of a narrow cell that I have not thoroughly enjoyed the feel of. Specifically, the standout CF3 and the Neonic Flare Prime.
And the Shapeshifter.
Yeah. All three of those paddles I really, really like the feel of. And, the terms hollow and dense are not, in my opinion, the best ways to explain them. I really think that crisp is a really, really good, way to describe.
Crisp versus springy, maybe?
Yes,
I don't know.
crisp versus springy, for sure. And springy is good, but crisp is a little bit more pleasant in terms of like vibration and just the overall feel of the paddle. Yeah. So, I know everybody's chasing that Paddle Tech, recipe, which is wide cell, flexible core, but don't get it twisted. Narrow cell, not so soft core is
both of us
really
are maining this one.
Freaking good. Yeah.
Now,
so
this does use a softer grade, the Flare Prime X, but it is 6mm cells. So they're kind of covering the bases there, because I said, the danger with softer grade is that the durability. But if you now make it in a more narrow cell, then you've kind of covered for that. I do like the narrow cell. The other thing to consider is that when you have 6mm cells in here, there are more cells, of course, than 10mm. So now there is more density and more mass. Mm-hmm. So usually, unless there are other measures taken, the smaller cell paddles are more stable. And they feel like they might have what you'd consider a bigger sweet spot and more stability off center. And that's the Paddletech's downfall, right? Everybody loves that Paddletech core, but not a great sweet spot, not great off center.
That is literally the reason why I picked up the Flare Prime X. I was just like, okay, I suck, so I can't hit the center of the paddle very often. So I might as well give myself a fighting chance with a paddle that has better forgiveness and specifically more forgiveness on off-center hits. So, the Flare Prime X, it's slowly creeping up there for paddle of the year for me.
And everyone is chasing the Paddletechs, but I think it's actually kind of more hype than anything, because a lot of these other paddles that have released since then, I think are just better. I'm one person, it's subjective, right? But I have high hopes for the Saga, which everyone's like, oh, it wants to be a paddle tech. Does it want to be a paddle tech, or is it better? You know, the Flare Prime X, does this want to be a paddle tech, or is it just better? You know, so I understand that the paddle techs is a big name, and they finally made a big splash and kind of lightning struck with their timing. It was really smart. The playability profile of the paddle techs, both the TKO, the ESQ, and the ALW, at the timing that it released, you know, as a direct contrast / competitor to all the Gen 3s, which have all kinds of issues. But now all these other paddles that are releasing since then, that everyone says, oh, they just want to be a paddle tech. I would challenge people, is that actually the case, or are these actually better than the paddle techs? So
I think the paddle techs, when you hit the sweet spot, there's really nothing like them. And
yeah, that's true. They're unique.
If you can hit the sweet spot and you're not worried about off-center hits, they're some of the best paddles out there in terms of their combination of power pop and just dwell time that helps
have great spin,
with control. So
you're right, but as we talked about,
not
in
many
gains,
people hit the sweet spots, big dog.
You can't control all the variables.
Yeah.
So can you control hitting the
Can
ball
you
dead
control
center
your
every
paddle?
time?
Probably not.
Is it too powerful for me to control? Yes.
Yeah. Is Justin too trash for a power paddle?
Yes is the answer.
Yeah, yes is the answer. All right,
man.
well, dude, I feel like we got through a lot of stuff today. Thank you guys for watching episode 22. We're making it, dude. This might be 23. God knows. The Pickleball Pursuit podcast. I'm your host, Lewis, with Pickleball Pursuit, with my co-host here, Justin from Pickleball, etc. If you have any questions, throw them in the comment section below. Until next time, we'll see you. Peace.